Manchester City made history. 4-peat in the Premier League. No one has ever done this, with Phil Foden starring in the season, the player of the season. Arsenal kept them on their toes, even at the final game, of course, where Man City had to win, of course, to stay the title winners, of course, the Champions League winners with this Pep Guardiola. Are they the best Premier League team ever? 6-7 or 6-8 in the Pep era, winning a Champions League and a treble, of course, numerous FA Cups, numerous cups, of course, that they won, of course, during that era. And Arsenal, well, a lot of Arsenal fans will be very, very disappointed, of course. Listen, there will be banter, there will be disappointment, there will be like, oh, Arteta failed. He might have failed. He might have failed at the end. They might have failed to win the title, but should they be proud of how they performed this season? It's a progress from last season. No matter what anybody tells me, this Arsenal team, even though they looked slower in the beginning of the season, they picked up massively. Look at the final run, losing one game against Aston Villa and drawing one game at the Etihad, at Manchester City's ground, right? In the final run towards the final game, of course. This Arsenal team has improved massively. They still need to improve a little bit because we know that Manchester City will improve next season. But to be honest, Manchester City at the end, they're unbeaten in 30-odd games in all competitions. They have had a good season. Of course, it's not up to the standard of Manchester City as we know them. The 97 point, the 98 point, the Centurion seasons that they went with Liverpool all the way to the final day of the Premier League, of course. But at the end, Manchester City did enough to win the Premier League, of course, with new signings like Josko Gvardiol, like Mateo Kovacic, of course, with Kevin De Bruyne being injured for almost more than half the season, and Phil Foden. To be honest, in this game, he silenced a lot of people, including myself, who said maybe Declan Rice should win it, maybe it's between him and Declan Rice. Phil Foden stepped up, a goal within 90 seconds in the game against West Ham to kind of like shush everybody and calm everybody down. Manchester City, though, during the season changed the way they play, changed the formation, changed the shape of the team many times, of course, with Doku being added in on the left wing, sometimes on the right wing, Jack Grealish in and out of the team, even Mateo Kovacic in and out of the team with some injuries. But Man City under Pep Guardiola are a machine, and they're always going to be favorites because they always find a way to win games without a shadow of a doubt. They are the best team in the country. Have Arsenal been the best team this season? We might say yes, right? In my opinion, I've been saying that Arsenal have been very consistent throughout the season. Yes, they dropped 0.6 points against West Ham and Fulham, and I think that is when they lost the league. The games against Fulham and the game against West Ham, when they lost back-to-back games before the break that happened, I think, in January when they went to Dubai and came back ruthless after this. It's between Man City and Arsenal, you can say, this season. And at the end, and I'm going to say this, in very small margins at the end of the season. Yes, Man City edged it, but it could have been a decision here, it could have been a miss there, it could have been this or that. But at the end, Man City with Pep Guardiola, they came on top. They won the league fair and square. People can say referee's decision or not referee's decision, but at the end, this Manchester City team, as we said, are a machine. Should Arsenal be disappointed? Yes. Because they could have won the game. It was in their hands. Yes. I actually think this was a massive chance, just like last season for Arsenal, to win the Premier League, to win the title. And they lost it. And they didn't lose it against Man City, because at the end, they didn't lose against Man City. They didn't lose against Liverpool. And I think it's the first time for a long time when Arsenal win home and away against Manchester United. Arsenal did not lose a game this season, if I can remember, against the top six. Not Chelsea, not Spurs, not Man United, not Liverpool, and not Man City. They haven't. So they absolutely improved over last season. But sometimes that's not enough. It is not enough for you to win the Premier League, because Pep Guardiola and his team are ruthless. One slip and there is no catching them, and they couldn't catch them. Manchester City won since the Arsenal game. They won every single game. They won every single game, and I think that was 9 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. 9 games in a row for Manchester City. There is no catching them. There is no margin. What I mean by that is that there is no margin for error against Manchester City. They literally won the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They won the last 10 games of the season. This is Manchester City. So there is no stopping them unless you are faultless yourself. And Arsenal kind of dropped the ball a little bit against Aston Villa and against West Ham and against Fulham. But I'm going to tell you something. We could have said the same for Manchester City. We can say the same. We can say Man City, well, they could have won against Crystal Palace. Well, they could have won against Wolves when they lost the game. We can say this and that. We can say this and that. But at the end, Man City edged it. But to be honest, for Pete, makes it, for me, this is the best Premier League team ever. What I mean by that, I'm excluding the Liverpools of the 80s, where they dominated locally and continentally by winning 3 Champions Leagues in 4 or 5 years. So that is something that Man City haven't done, right? We don't know what's going to happen next year. But are Manchester City on course to win 5, Pete? Yes, unless Arsenal improve. How much can they improve next season? Because I think Arsenal were very good this season. Yes, there is a room for improvement, but also Manchester City will improve. And we know that. We know that they are in for a great summer with the Paquitas, maybe Bruno Guimaraes. They have Savio already. But again, Arsenal should be proud of their team. Yes, they failed to win the title. Yes, there should be demands for improvement, 150%. There should be demands for improvement. But at the end, could they have asked for more than this? Maybe. But did they do very, very well? I understand both aspects of and both points of view of Arsenal. When people say, well, at the end he failed and he didn't win the league, Arteta. But at the end, a lot of people also expected City and predicted City to win the league. So at the end, I'm going to say it was a good season, very good season for Arsenal, and a very good season for City. If this Man City aren't at their best and they're still winning the league title by getting 90 points, I can say that this team, Pep Guardiola, is the greatest coach in leagues in the history as far as I saw, right? I didn't live in the 60s, 70s, or 80s to say that. But he has been absolutely immense, amazing. Phil Foden, especially with this final game, deserves player of the season. Declan Rice has been great signing for Arsenal with a lot of pressure on him. And to be honest with you, I got to say that I'm excited already for next season. But people should be proud of their teams. The only people that shouldn't be proud of Manchester United, to be honest, because that is the team that completely collapsed this season. But great season. I enjoyed it with me and you. Make sure to like the video if you're still watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys later, of course.